A while back, I watched a movie directed by Rian Johnson called Knives Out, and I, for one, think that it sets the precedent of how every murder mystery movie should strive to be in Hollywood. Unpredictable, but predictable enough to make sense to the story, because at the end of the day, you're constructing a narrative. So stick with that, and the rest will take care of itself. Delve into the context, culture, and suspense as the mystery unfolds throughout the movie, because that's how a murder mystery genre must always be. That's how you do it, and I think that Knives Out manages to do all of that and occupy all of these elements and much, much more. I might even be giving this movie too much credit, who knows, but I love that movie. It's something that I've rewatched countless times. That being said, the prospect of a Knives Out 2 is exciting for me because we're actually going to see the talented Daniel Craig as Detective Blank again in Glass Onion and Knives Out Mystery this December, streaming only on Netflix. The question I want to answer now is this: is Knives Out 2 promising? We're going to dive into the promotional material for this new Knives Out movie, the directing ability of Rian Johnson, and the risks, if any, associated with producing a sequel to a beloved first installment, and whether or not that might slow down momentum for Knives Out 2 Glass Onion. Okay, so let's take a look at the existing promotional material for this movie. 3 weeks ago, we got to have a first glance at Glass Onion. Take a listen.
Ladies and gentlemen,
this is it.
you expected a mystery.
Get your hand off of that.
You expected a puzzle. But for one person on this island, this is not a game.
Will you explain it to us then, Detective?
Holy!
Really, Duke?
Oh my God!
Really?
Lock the doors. Stay in your rooms.
Everyone
Is in danger.
Alright. Just in case you can't tell what's in the trailer, since I have converted it to MP3 in order to edit this podcast, and I would definitely recommend that you check out the Glass Onion trailer visually on MP4 to get a more concise picture of the upcoming movie. All you have to do is search Glass Onion and Knives Out teaser, and the trailer that you just heard will be the first thing that pops up. At the time of this recording, there hasn't really been another trailer for Knives Out. At Netflix To Doom event, they unveiled a clip from the movie, but it gave viewers more questions than answers of whether or not this movie is actually going to be good. It's good promotional material because it leaves us getting hyped for the movie because we want to know what happens, but we don't know whether or not it determines the final verdict. Is Knives Out 2 promising? Here's what I think based on this promotional material, and there are other factors which I'm going to get into, but we're going to talk about the promotional material first. Daniel Craig continues to kill it as a role of detective, even in the Glass Onion Knives Out trailer. I'm also a fan of Dave Bautista's acting performance. In fact, I spoke about him in length in this podcast's movie review, Army of the Dead. Suffice to say, Dave Bautista has a long way to go in his acting career to even be considered among a short list of legendary performers. But he's done a decent job, which can only mean that he is gradually transitioning from just being in the Marvel Cinematic Universe as comedic relief to other films that demands more from Dave Bautista's acting abilities than ever before, especially in Glass Onion. What about Rian Johnson's directing ability, which is another factor? Here's what I have to say about that. Rian Johnson is definitely a competent director when given the correct guidance and a team of excellent writers, top of the line, and the inks of the writing pens perfect to the brim. Nothing more, nothing less. Other than that, Rian Johnson messed up big time with Star Wars The Last Jedi. Big time. I'm not even going to forgive him for that. I'm not going to lie and say that I'm chill every time I think about The Last Jedi. I'm not. I'm quite pissed. Rian Johnson messed up. I'm going to say it again. He did not do a good job when it came to handling a fan-beloved franchise. Now, obviously, Star Wars is not his expertise, but Rian Johnson wanted to direct anyway. Be that as it may, this segment isn't meant to diss Rian Johnson's one mistake in one movie, because he is a great director for Knives Out, and Rian Johnson's screenplay is one of the best murder mysteries that I've seen in a long way. It is engaging, unpredictable, while still making sense to the overarching narrative. It's safe to make the assumption that Knives Out 2 is in capable and supervised hands, and it might again be promising for as long as Rian Johnson gives Glass Onion his best and doesn't make it a gigantic flop, which would absolutely suck for his resume. Because I'd imagine if he had, half a mind when it came to Star Wars, he would distance himself from The Last Jedi. Like, leave it out of his portfolio. It stunk. Big time. But even though we have promotional material for Knives Out, Glass Onion, and Rian Johnson's 50-50 chance of directing a good screenplay like I've just talked about, there might still be risks associated with making a sequel to a beloved first installment to begin with. In order to really grasp the point that I'm about to make, you must understand the demanding criteria as to what makes an exceptional sequel in general, which supersedes just Glass Onion. This can be applied to any sequel. According to the Writer's Digest, making a sequel doesn't mean you just pick up where the last story left off. You must do something fresh and different. You can't flat out copy the first movie, especially since Knives Out belongs to the mystery genre. Keyword, mystery. And using it as a template will squash that mystery and suspense. At the same time, you have to retain some things consistent to the vibe of Knives Out. You have to hold fast to most elements from the first Knives Out movie when it comes to the tone and the impact of whatever is being revealed in the third act, or maybe second act, but the third act is dealing with repercussions, whatever. It is very possible that Knives Out might drop a ball in its sequel since it can't keep up with difficult requirements. With all of that down, I think Knives Out 2 is a promising sequel. Do I have doubts that it's gonna win the jackpot twice? Sure I do. Might these doubts vanish as I finally get to watch the movie? Likely so. Or at least, I hope so. How about you? Yes, you, my awesome listeners tuning into this awesome podcast. Do you think that Glass Onion and Knives Out Mystery will be a promising sequel? Do you think that it isn't promising? Whatever it is that you think, let me know in the comment section below or our Twitter inbox at Cinema Courtroom.